Welcome to the Robots vs. Vampires podcast. I'm Adrian Smith, your host.
And I'm Julia Jones.
For this wild ride through sci-fi and fantasy.
I'm the sci-fi expert here.
Each day we bring you a new story.
Right.
Exploring those epic clashes where technology and the supernatural collide. So strap in, get comfy, and get ready to explore the boundaries of fact and fiction.
Today we're diving into a dystopian future.
Ooh.
It's ruled by vampires, and there's a rebellion brewing fueled by ancient tech and synthetic blood.
Intense. The story Blood Red Sunset throws us right into this bleak world right away. Vampires.
They're called Night Lords in this story.
Okay, Night Lords has absolute control, and humans are basically living as second-class citizens.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. They've got this oppressive regime, constant surveillance,
Oh, wow.
and even brutal gladiatorial games called the Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Humans are forced to fight for the vampires' entertainment, just for their amusement. It immediately creates that feeling of fear and desperation.
It really makes you think, how do people even survive in this world, let alone resist?
Right, and that's where our main characters, Maya and Asher, come in. They're siblings just trying to make it in this system.
Trying to get by.
Yeah, Asher's a bit of a tech whiz, always tinkering with scavenged gadgets. He's got this dream of something more.
Holding on to that spark of hope.
Exactly. He refuses to accept things as they are. And that spirit leads them to a chance encounter that changes everything.
Okay, set the scene for us. What happens?
Picture this. The Hunger Games are happening. The arena is packed with vampires, bloodthirsty, and ready for a show. Asher's facing certain death. Then, out of nowhere, chaos erupts.
What?
Vampires in the stands start collapsing, clutching their throats. They can't breathe. It's pandemonium.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Who or what is behind this?
It's a group of young rebels called the Crimson Dawn. They burst onto the scene, moving with incredible speed and strength. They seem completely immune to the vampire's powers.
Whoa. So they're not just fighting back, they're turning the vampire's strengths against them.
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting. The Crimson Dawn's secret weapon is a combination of pre-fall technology and synthetic blood.
Pre-fall technology, what's that?
It refers to a time before the vampires, a time when humans were way more technologically advanced. But something happened. Some catastrophic event that led to humanity's downfall, and the vampires took over.
So this pre-fall tech is like a lost artifact.
Exactly. And the Crimson Dawn has figured out how to use it to create weapons that disrupt vampire biology.
Wow. Okay, ancient tech. But you also mentioned synthetic blood. How does that fit in?
This is where it gets really cool. The Crimson Dawn has found a way to survive without needing to feed on humans.
So they've broken free from that fundamental vampire need. That's huge.
Right, it's a game changer. They have a unique advantage now. They're not bound by the same limitations. Plus, this synthetic blood enhances their abilities, makes them faster, stronger, more resilient.
So it's not just survival, it's empowerment. They've turned a weakness into a strength.
Precisely. And this combination of pre-fall tech and synthetic blood lets them create weapons that can neutralize a vampire's powers for a while, giving humans a fighting chance.
So it's about leveling the playing field, disrupting the vampire's control, challenging the foundation of their power.
And that raises some questions. Could ancient technology and biological innovation really take on something as deeply rooted as vampires? This story says it's possible, which is a fascinating concept.
Definitely. And this is where Maya's story changes. Seeing her brother about to die in the games, witnessing the Crimson Dawn's power, she makes a choice. She joins the rebellion.
Such a powerful moment. She goes from terrified bystander to someone willing to fight back against the system that's held her captive. It speaks to that universal desire for freedom.
And her decision is about more than just survival. It's about taking a stand about hope.
Absolutely. It's that shift from fear to defiance. But it's not easy. Joining the Crimson Dawn means trusting those who are fundamentally different. They've altered themselves with synthetic blood and technology, blurring the lines between human and something else.
So this rebellion isn't just a fight against vampires. It challenges what it means to be human.
That's what's so interesting. It makes us confront our own biases.
Yeah.
It asks us to consider what we would do, what compromises we'd make in the face of oppression.
The story ends with a striking image, a blood-red sunset. It's a symbol of the vampire's reign.
But also
a hint of potential change, a new dawn.
Exactly. That image captures the story's tension, the struggle between darkness and light, oppression and freedom. It makes you wonder if the rebellion will succeed, if that blood-red sunset will give way to something new.
And that's just the beginning of this story. So if you're as intrigued as we are, make sure to rate and follow the Robots vs. Vampires podcast. We'll be back tomorrow to continue exploring Blood Red Sunset and unravel more of this thrilling tale.
Picking up where we left off, right, we have this incredible rebellion going on, fueled by desperation, ancient technology, and a thirst for freedom.
Yeah.
The Crimson Dawn, with their synthetic blood and pre-fall weapons, represent a real challenge to the Vampire Order. It's like David and Goliath, but with a cyberpunk twist.
It's like they took the classic vampire myth and flipped it around.
Right.
Instead of unstoppable creatures of the night, the vampires are vulnerable. They have to face something that can disrupt their biology. Makes you wonder how they'll react, how they'll adapt.
That's the big question, isn't it? Will the vampires see the Crimson Dawn as just a minor annoyance, something they can easily crush? Or will they see the real danger, the possibility that their reign could end? The story kind of hints at the vampires being arrogant. They believe they're superior, which could be their downfall.
And what about the humans tucked in the middle? The story shows that not every human is ready to join the Crimson Dawn.
Right.
Some are hesitant, afraid of the unknown, afraid of the power that the Crimson Dawn has. It raises questions about trust, about forming alliances when the line between human and other is blurry.
Exactly. It's not just humans against vampires. There's distrust even among the humans. Some might see the Crimson Dawn as just as bad as the vampires. They see their alterations as a perversion of humanity.
It's a reminder that even with a common enemy, unity can be fragile. And the path to freedom is never simple. There will be disagreements, conflicts, betrayals.
The story also touches on the morality of the Crimson Dawn's methods. Using synthetic blood is a symbol of their independence.
Yeah.
But it also raises questions about what it means to be human. Have they given up part of themselves for power? Is their reliance on technology a strength or a weakness? The story makes us think about these ethical dilemmas. It makes us confront our own beliefs.
And then there's the pre-fall technology, this mysterious thing from a forgotten past.
Right.
It's both hope and a potential danger.
Mm-hmm.
What else is hidden within it? Could it be the key to defeating the vampires? Or could it unleash something even worse?
That's what makes this story so captivating. It's not just action and adventure. It explores identity, morality, the consequences of technology. It makes us consider the choices we'd make in a similar situation, the compromises we might accept for freedom.
The story also hints at the sacrifices the Crimson Dawn members have made. They live in the shadows, giving up parts of their humanity for a greater cause. Makes you wonder what they've lost, what they've left behind to challenge the vampires.
It shows that freedom often comes at a price. The Crimson Dawn's rebellion isn't just about fighting vampires, but fighting for a world where they can exist on their own terms, even if it means embracing a different way of being.
The story ends with this feeling of uncertainty, like the battle is just starting.
Yeah.
We don't know if the Crimson Dawn will win, if their rebellion will bring a new era, or if the vampires will crush them. But we have this image of a blood-red sunset, a symbol of oppression and the potential for change.
It's that uncertainty that makes the story so thought-provoking. It doesn't give easy answers or simple endings. Instead, it makes us confront the complexities of a world where robots and vampires clash, a world where the lines between good and evil, human and other, are constantly moving.
And that's what we love about the Robots vs. Vampires podcast, right? We get to explore these stories, these mind-bending scenarios that make us question everything. It's a wild ride through sci-fi and fantasy. And we're happy to have you along. Wrapping up our look at Blood Red Sunset, it really makes you think about fighting for freedom. The Crimson Dawn's rebellion isn't just about beating a powerful enemy. It's about challenging the systems that keep people down.
Yeah, and it's interesting how this story uses these fantasy elements like vampires and ancient tech to explore real themes of power control and the struggle for freedom.
One thing that stood out to me is how the Crimson Dawn uses technology.
Right.
They're not just using it as a weapon. They're using it to redefine themselves, to break free from the vampires in a fundamental way.
That synthetic blood is such a powerful symbol in this story.
Yeah.
It shows their independence, their refusal to be defined by needing human blood. It's like they've taken this weakness and turned it into a strength.
But it also makes you think about the consequences. They've altered themselves, pushed the boundaries of biology. What does that mean for them down the line? What kind of long-term effects might they face?
It's a question the story leaves us with. It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
The synthetic blood gives them power, but it also sets them apart. It blurs the line between human and something else.
And that creates tension with the other humans.
Yeah.
Not everyone is on board with the Crimson Dawn and their methods. Some see them as dangerous, just like the vampires.
Exactly. They see it as a twisted version of humanity.
It reminds us that even when everyone has a common enemy, finding unity and trust is tough.
Definitely.
People have different ideas about freedom, about what sacrifices are okay and who they'll fight with.
It really highlights how complex a rebellion can be.
It's rarely a simple path. There are conflicts, moral dilemmas, and tough choices everywhere.
And Blood Red Sunset doesn't shy away from those gray areas. It makes us confront our own biases and ask ourselves what we would do. Would we accept the Crimson Dawn and their methods? Would we change ourselves that much for freedom?
These questions stick with you. And I think that's what makes great sci-fi.
Absolutely.
It's not just entertainment. It makes you think, challenges your ideas, and sparks your imagination.
As we finish up, I keep thinking about that image of the blood red sunset hanging over everything.
Yeah.
It reminds us of the darkness, the oppression, the vampire's shadow over humanity, but it's also hopeful, isn't it?
It is. It shows the potential for change, for a new dawn to break through the darkness. It's a message that speaks to us no matter what we're going through.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Blood Red Sunset, I want to leave you with this. Even in a world ruled by vampires where tech is twisted and humanity is pushed to its limits, there's always a flicker of hope, a spark of resistance. And sometimes the most unexpected solutions, the most radical ideas are the ones that lead to a brighter future.
If you enjoyed this journey into Blood Red Sunset, be sure to rate and follow the Robots vs. Vampires podcast for more thrilling tales and discussions. We'll be back with another story that will take you to the world where robots and vampires collide. Until then, keep those imaginations going and never stop exploring the possibilities of science fiction.